Hey there, YouTube. We're here to talk about USPSA. Over the last few weeks, there have been some things happening. I was kind of waiting until there was enough in the hopper to make an interesting sort of discussion about USPSA. Now, a while back, I think 3.5-ish months ago, we were looking at the situation in USPSA. It's like, you know what? Let's take a step back. They've got a new board. Let's see what happens with USPSA. Give the guys some time, and then let's see what shakes out. Well, it's been some time, so now we can kind of assess what we're seeing coming out of USPSA over the last few weeks. Now, I have minutes for the June 17th, so a few days ago, the most current meeting minutes. And if I read through these minutes, there's some good things. All right, they had a vote. I mean, they had a few, but I mean, there's more to it, but they got to the point where it's like, hey, we have a motion and a vote to waive bylaw 10.2 to enable live streaming. And now they've got one dude that voted not to allow the live streaming. Now, interestingly, Hot Dog was absent from he's going to be the outgoing Area 2 director. He was absent from the meeting. So he couldn't vote to stop the live stream. But you're looking at that as like, okay, they ended up live streaming it. That's cool. We have live stream meetings happening now. And then as you go through here, it's like looking at the minutes, there's an executive session for about 2.5 hours, something like that, I think. They enter executive session at 10:16. They're out at 10:58. And then I think there was another executive session in here at some point to discuss financials. So it's like they're not, I think there was a couple hours they spent discussing financials. Okay, so it's like, yes, motion at 20:59 to enter executive session to discuss financials. Cool. Okay, they exited executive session 22:52. So like almost 2 hours later. That's it. Finance. So looking at the minutes, it's like, all right, there's not much information coming out. I guess they're live streaming, but the financial stuff is in executive session still. We're not seeing any sort of discussion or any specifics on all the financial stuff that was discussed over the last couple years. There's also attachments to this stuff, like they're hiring a new managing director. And like the managing director hiring status in a Google Doc is just a few lines. They've got 50 applicants and they're going to interview 7 people for a new managing director. So, I mean, I did say, like, give these guys some time, give them 90 days and let's see what they come up with. I'm not seeing it. Like, I'm not seeing, like, whatever they're doing, they're still doing in secret is a good way of putting it. I don't know what they're doing. I hope they're doing good things, but what they are doing is being done in secret. And that's not a good thing. We haven't really had answers to there's a lot of like legitimate questions about what the fuck has been going on at USPSA. Here's a good example. This was put up online yesterday, I think leaked by the complainant or the victim, you might say, for a sexual harassment beef. I posted this letter to email I posted this letter to my Instagram as well. Other people have posted it. It's an interesting letter to read out of context, but like, let me read one paragraph. Or 2 paragraphs for you. After reviewing the available evidence and interviewing the parties and possible witnesses, including you and blank this name out, and USPSA policies and governing documents, the board of directors was unable to determine that the circumstances regarding the reported incident calls for disciplinary action under USPSA's governing documents and policies. While the board believes that dude's behavior was inappropriate, it was not within USPSA's authority to discipline such action where it occurred offsite and absent any legal directive, such as an anti-harassment or other form of legal protective order. As part of notifying blank of the board's decision, he will be notified that any further behavior of a similar nature will be met with severe disciplinary measures, including immediate termination of his membership. And he was strongly encouraged not to have any further contact with you, including electronic communication. In addition, in the future matches will be arranged so that you will not have to interact with him to compete or participate in USPSA events. USPSA is making every effort practical to keep this matter confidential. Okay. So what we have here is like, and to be honest, I've I've had some offline discussions with people more involved in this. I wouldn't, the actual incident or the allegations, I'm not going to repeat here. I'm kind of, I was told them in confidence. I'll put it that way. But what you have here is kind of, it's a situation where, is this conduct that this guy did illegal? No, I don't think so. Based on what was described to me, I don't think it was illegal. Was it sexual harassment? Based on what was described to me, I didn't even hear that. I did not hear harassment, like repeated and unwanted. What I've heard about this incident is that it was very bad, inappropriate conduct. Like, that'd be a good way to describe it. Not stuff you want to see at a match, not good conduct. But this is an interesting thing because it puts the organization in a weird spot where it's like, if you might say, hey, we want to, sanction the guy that did this, even though you may not know what it was claimed to have happened, but we want to sanction this guy. But that would put them potentially in a tricky situation because this is a top level competitor who'd have a financial, like, there'd be good motivation to come after the organization if the organization took action against him. And the organization doesn't want that. But at the same time, they have somebody complaining of a very bad situation that they want to deal with. What I would say, the more you learn about this incident, and probably over time, people will learn more about it. It's not a cut and dried, like, here's the bad guy. Here's what needs to happen. They need to get crushed. It's just like, this is bad conduct and we don't want more of it. But it's a tricky situation in terms of how you'd want to handle it, at least based on the specifics that were described to me. The interesting thing here, again, it's kind of an oblique situation, and USPSA needs to be very, very careful how they handle it. And then you listen to what I just read to you and you're like, that sounds crazy. That doesn't make any sense. We can't sanction this conduct because it didn't occur on in the match proper. It's like, well, that's not true. They go after people for conduct that doesn't happen at matches all the time. And then in the very next paragraph, they're saying, yeah, if this guy does this again, then we're going to do something about it. So it's like, when you have a situation like this, probably a lawyer should have drafted something to thread this needle so that, like, this is one of those situations, in my opinion, where doing the right thing and saying the right thing is difficult. It's easy to get mad, but it's like actually doing the right thing and saying the right thing is difficult. And like reading this letter from Yemen, I was just like, oh, what the fuck is he thinking? Like, you can't say this stuff to people. Like, this doesn't make sense. You need to have a more sensible policy. So having they're taking seriously a sexual harassment type of scenario, but this isn't, like, just reading this, I'm like, man, this is super dumb. So that was interesting to see come out. Also, it was leaked to me and I posted it up to my Instagram stories, a very long 21-page document coming from a guy heavily involved in Area 2. This is interesting because this guy, Muneki is his name. Yes, a stage designer at Rio Salado, one of the big clubs in Arizona. This is where Leighton, the Area 2 director, shoots there. One of his buddies is high up in the club management there. And effectively what Leighton's doing is he's replacing, he's not running for re-election, but his buddy is running for re-election. Or his buddy is running for election, kind of in Leighton's stead. Leighton has said so. I posted an audio clip to Instagram of Leighton being recorded saying effectively the same thing. So this long 21-page document is interesting to me because it kind of describes the inner workings of that club in a lot of ways, and it describes his interactions with the guy who's running to take over Area 2. And it's nothing super surprising, I would say. It's like, hey, this guy's retaliatory type behavior. He's mean to volunteers. There was text messages put in this document. I mean, there's a lot to it. And in reading through it, it's just like, yeah, none of this surprises me. Of course, this guy's awful. But again, it does give you a little more insight into how the organization's actually working. So to sum it up, I decided it was like, hey, let's give USPSA 90 days. It feels like the right thing to do, to give them 90 days. What have we seen now? I haven't seen anything. Not really. And that's sad. I feel like the guys in place now I think they're trying to do something. I think it's a mistake to keep so much secret. I think they should just be trying to message more in public, let people know what they're doing, because this is, one of the big problems with the previous board is that they don't tell anybody what they're doing. So that's enough. It's enough for me. We'll see what comes out of this. I'm always rooting for USPSA to do better. It's just, we kind of need to see something.